NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere, who branded women with his initials and treated them as his sex slaves, was found guilty of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy by a Brooklyn jury Wednesday. It took only 4 hours of deliberation for a jury of 8 men and 4 women to convict the longtime leader and figurehead of the upstate self-help group, ending a twist-sordid odyssey of sex, blackmail, and betrayal. As the verdict was read, Keith Raniere, 58, who was also called Vanguard by his brainwashed followers, appeared stoic, whispering to his lawyer, while several NXIVM defectors cried and trembled. Keith Raniere was accused of helping himself to a harem of women who were recruited for his sexual pleasure into a secret society called DOS. He had pleaded not guilty and said that his encounters with the victim were consensual, and some of his victims were branded with his initials. Prosecutors said his entire purpose for starting the cult, a secret subgroup under the NXIVM umbrella, was to feed himself an endless supply of sexual partners. He kept 9 first-line slaves, women who were longtime blind followers of Keith and NXIVM, prosecutors said. The NXIVM community centered in Albany and focused on its self-helping teachings, treated him as a godlike figure, even celebrating Vanguard Week or V Week annually in August, a week-long Lake George retreat devoted to Keith's birthday. He's a conman, predator, and crime boss, prosecutor Maura Penza said in her summation earlier this week in a Brooklyn federal court. Keith made sure to collect nude photos and other embarrassing information from victims to use as blackmail in case they ever wanted to leave. The prosecutor called out Keith Raniere and his top deputies for using over a 15-year period tactics that destroyed their victims' sense of self, including turning victims into victimizers. NXIVM deputies, including Smileville actress Allison Mack, a Raniere slave herself, and Claire Bronfman, an heiress to the Seagram's liquor fortune, were also charged and previously pleaded guilty. Jurors heard evidence that Bronfman bankrolled Raniere's businesses and carefree lifestyle, while Mack recruited her own slaves and ordered them to have sex with Keith Raniere. One of the witnesses was a former NXIVM devotee who was confined to a room from 2010 to 2012. According to prosecutors, she became Keith's sex slave, forced to sexually perform on the defendant's demand, and ultimately spy on his enemies, including her older sister, who was in Raniere's harem. Her older sister was also in a relationship with Keith. Meanwhile, their younger sister was groomed to start sleeping with Keith at age 15, and he was busted with explicit photos of the girl he took at the time, when he also took her virginity. Another woman testified and said that she was tied to a table, blindfolded, and subjected to unwanted oral sex by another slave, as Keith observed and videotaped. Keith's lawyer argued that his abhorrent lifestyle and comments were not criminal. He didn't mean to hurt anyone. Jurors decided Raniere's misdeeds did amount to a conspiracy and that he was responsible for forced labor, exploitation of a child, possession of child pornography, identity theft, and other crimes. Raniere was busted in 2018 while hiding out in a secluded village in Mexico. Among those who followed this 7-week trial were former NXIVM member India Oxenberg and her mother, actress Catherine Oxenberg. The former Dynasty star has written a book about her effort to save her daughter from the group. The trembling Catherine Oxenberg, wearing aviator sunglasses and a white jacket, wept and clutched supporters in the back row of the courtroom as the verdict was announced. "They saved my daughter," the overwhelmed mom said. "They saved so many other women."